All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. This is the first live Build Your Brand webinar of 2021. My name is Jess Larkin, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Specialist at Cornerstone. I'm your host for the Build Your Brand series, and I'm going to also be your go-to gal for any questions that you have about your marketing and communications efforts. I want to help you build a brand that is focused on growth. We have a lot of brand new, no pun intended, content coming your way this year, including some webinars on copywriting, very basic design, customer feedback, onboarding, and even productivity and time management techniques. These webinars are always going to be available on the Cornerstone event calendar, and registration links will be available in the Monday Minute newsletter. If you missed the first Build Your Brand webinar, you can find it anytime on the Cornerstone Resource Center. The first webinar was focused specifically on improving your existing brand, and it's helpful for those of you who may already have a brand, but also for those of you who are looking to get started with a fresh brand. So you can check that out at www.crnstone.com. As always, we're going to get started with a little bit of housekeeping. My information is right there on the screen if you'd like to get in contact with me. Also, be sure to give us a follow on social media. We post Cornerstone and industry updates and information. So you can follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So go ahead and give us a follow. And as a member of the Build Your Brand Club, I'm going to offer a quick sneak peek into what's to come. In March, we're going to be releasing a brand new marketing consultation program to help you with the services that you need just like this. So stay tuned for more information. That's coming very, very soon. All right, now I'm going to pass it on to Amanda Kopen, who is a SEO strategist for HubSpot, and she's going to be talking about how to get your website on Google. You can take it away, Amanda.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, let's see. Perfect. I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
I think so.
Yep, we're
awesome.
Good to go.
Okay, perfect. Well, hello everyone and welcome to So How Do I Get My Website on Google? Our agenda for today, I'll go through an introduction. We'll talk about the who, what, when, and why of SEO. We'll talk about how Google works. I'll provide some actionable recommendations, and we'll have time for questions at the end. So an introduction. Hello, I'm Amanda Kopen. I'm an SEO strategist at HubSpot. And if you haven't heard of HubSpot, HubSpot offers a complete CRM platform with all of the tools and integrations you need to grow better. HubSpot is most well known for their marketing, sales, service, and CRM platforms. And if you've heard of HubSpot, you may have heard of the HubSpot blog. So I am the SEO strategist behind the HubSpot blog, which gets about 12 to 13 million views per month. And that is not to brag, it is just to give you a little bit of context to my background as we go into this presentation. So as business owners, you're likely very familiar with all of the different ways that you can market your company. You can do content marketing, email marketing, and many more, but I'm here to talk to you about SEO. So what is SEO? SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and it helps businesses drive more visitors to your website. It expands a company's visibility on a search engine results page, more about that later, and in turn will increase your chances for some sales. So why is SEO important? Your website is likely a promotional for your business, and it explains who you are and what you do to customers and potential customers. So for your website, your primary goal is likely some type of visibility. Optimizing your website can help you increase visibility, generate leads, and make sales. Who and when? Anyone can do SEO with some basic understanding of best practices, and you should always be optimizing your site. Otherwise, people won't be able to find you. So let's talk a little bit about how Google works. How does a site get onto Google? For a site to appear on Google, Google has to know that you exist. So Google needs to find your website and your web pages on the internet. It needs to scan your pages to understand their topics, and then it adds your website to its index, which is a database of all of the content it has found on the internet. So I was talking about Google scanning your page once it finds your page. Let's dive into that a little bit more. How does Google see your web page? Whereas a website to you might look beautiful and have a lot of pictures and beautiful fonts, Google can't see any of that. Google can only see text. So if you have a navigation, it may just look like a little thing that says get started to Google. If you have an image, it'll just look like the file name, and all of the fonts that you've put into your website won't appear to Google. It just sees some headings and some text. Once Google scans your web page, it's then able to show it on a Google search engine results page. So let's break it down a little bit. When you type something in on the internet, you'll see a few different things that pop up on Google. You'll see a paid advertisement, which is, you can tell by this little ad in the left-hand corner. You may see a snippet box, and this can appear as a people also ask box. It can appear as a map. It could appear as a business's location and hours. So be aware that snippets do exist on some pages, but what we really want to talk about today are the organic results. And when I search for something on Google, usually there's 10 blue links or 10 paid advertisements and organic results. And these organic results pop up when Google sees that a website has relevant content to someone's query. As you can imagine, the results at the top of the page will get more clicks than the results at the bottom. And this is because people have short attention spans. They want their answers or their questions answered very quickly. So they'll go to maybe the top couple results more than they will the last result or even the results on the following pages on Google. So how does Google rank content? Google's goal is to provide users with the most relevant answers or information to their questions. And Google ranks content in two ways: if the content is relevant and if it has authority. So does your web page answer someone's question? Is your content relevant? If I'm looking for insurance and I type that in, Google is not going to send me 10 blue links of puppies. That's not relevant to my question. It will likely show me insurance brokers in my area because that's what's most relevant to me. The second part of Google ranking content is authority. And so this is how popular you are on the internet. And don't worry about a popularity contest. There are many metrics that go into this, but what you should focus on is relevance, because relevance trumps authority. Now I have some actionable recommendations to improve your website's SEO. So let's get into it. The first recommendation is making sure that your website has SSL. SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer, and SSL essentially secures data online. You'll know if you have SSL if your website starts with this HTTPS, and usually in the URL bar, it will say secure. If your website doesn't have SSL, you'll have the HTTP, and your website will not be as secure. SSL is a signal to Google that you're serious about data protection and data privacy, and it makes your website stronger against attacks, and it's an overall good best practice to have. I've linked some instructions here at the bottom, and after this presentation, I'm sure that the deck can be sent out to you all. And don't worry if you're a little bit nervous about installing SSL on your own. Usually a lot of people have their dev team or their website person do it, but if you're tech savvy, you can follow the instructions and try to install it yourself. The next recommendation is connecting your site to Google Search Console. Google Search Console is essentially this console that gives you a lot of metrics about your organic traffic to your website. So organic traffic is what comes from those blue links that are the organic results. They're not paid advertisements. They're what Google surfaces when you type in a question. Google Search Console is so helpful because it provides all of these awesome metrics. So it'll tell you for your website as a whole, how many clicks you get, which is essentially how many visits, how many impressions you get, which is how many times your web page has been shown on a search engine results page, whether or not someone's clicked on it, your average click-through rate, and then your average position on a search engine results page. Google Search Console is super helpful because it will talk about all of these different things in relation to your website. So what queries are people searching for before they get onto your website? Is it a keyword that is health insurance broker, or is it something different? It'll talk about your pages, so which pages are most popular, which ones have the most visits. It'll show you which countries your traffic is coming from, and the devices. Are people visiting your website page on a smartphone? Are they visiting your website page on desktop only? And you can do so much with Google Search Console, so I highly recommend you connect your site to it, and I have linked some instructions. The next recommendation I have is following the proper heading structures. So I will explain it again in the next slide, but this is what a heading structure primarily is comprised of. Your H1 should be the title of your page, and the H1 should never be repeated. There shouldn't be multiple H1s on a page. The H2s are your main points of information, and H3 is a subpoint of an H2, and an H4 can be a subpoint of an H3. You don't have to have all of these, like you don't need to have an H1, H2, H3, H4. You can have maybe an H1 and then two H2s. And if you have a subpoint that you want to talk about in your second H2, you can add an H3. I will go into this a little more in the next slide. And then the body copy for your web page should always use the paragraph tag. Never use a different heading tag for your body copy just because you like the size of the font. That is not great for Google. So here is an example of a website page. You can see the H1 is right here. That is the page title. You can see the body copy is using this paragraph tag, and search engine optimization statistics, that's an H2 because that's one of the main points of the post. These two H3s roll up to this H2. So conversion rate optimization and e-commerce are directly related to SEO stats. If I wanted to add another main point to this page, it could be email marketing stats, and I would want to make that an H2 because it doesn't relate to SEO, and it's a main point of the page. Another recommendation I have is to use keywords on your pages. I've linked some keyword tools right here, and I have a few screenshots. So let's say I am a health insurance broker and I want to see what my audience is searching for. So I put myself in their shoes and I'm thinking, what would I search for if I'm looking for a broker? I type in health insurance broker into this keyword tool, and the keyword tool will spit out all of these different variations of the keywords that I could use. And so it will show you the search volume, the competition, and you'll want to keep a list of keywords that you think relate to your business and your website. Another thing you can use is Google Trends, and you will put your keyword in here and it will show you the popularity of your search term, when it's most popular in the year, where the search term is most searched for, in which state, and it'll show you a lot of different other metrics that will be very helpful. Another thing you can do is competitive analysis, also known as content gap analysis. And this is a little sneaky, but essentially this is to scope out your competitors' keywords. So if you see your competitor is ranking for a keyword and they're showing up pretty high on the search engine results page, but you click into their website and their web page is kind of sparse, it doesn't have a lot of content, and you think you could create better content around that keyword, then you should use that and put it in your list of keywords that you can target for your website pages. So once you have this list of keywords that you want to target on your own, and maybe some keywords that you want to kick your competitors off of. Make your list and then place your keywords of choice in your headings and in your content. Don't worry about stuffing all of these keywords into one page. I highly recommend against doing that. At HubSpot, we usually look at 1 to 2 keywords per page. So you want to place those keywords in your heading. So search engine optimization statistics could be a keyword that I'm targeting for this one website page. And my last recommendation is ensuring your page has the right mix of content. Google cannot see images, so you want to make sure that the most important content on your page is not invisible to Google. This Contact Us page right here looks beautiful, right? I love it. It's beautiful. It's easy to understand. However, from an SEO perspective, it may have some problems. This looks like it's an image, and this Contact Us isn't text on the page, but maybe it's embedded in an image from like a design software, right? So Google cannot see this image, so it doesn't know that this image says Contact Us. Feel free to drop us a line below. You'll want to make sure that your most important content is in text and it's using the proper headings like we talked about before. So Contact Us seems to be the only purpose of this page. And if I am a customer and I'm looking for your business Contact Us page, at the moment, Google can't see that this is a Contact Us page, so it may not show the user who's searching for this page the proper page, and that could get them frustrated and maybe take their business elsewhere or just click on another competitor's site. So you'll want to use the proper headings. I would make Contact Us the H1, and I would maybe add some more text in this and make this a paragraph using the paragraph tag. And few more recommendations for ensuring your page has the right mix of content. You'll want to add meta descriptions to your pages. So a meta description is a little description that will go right under your website page and the title of your page in Google. And you can add that on any website builder, and that's usually 1 to 2 sentences explaining what that exact page is about. And fourth, you'll want to write alt text for your images. So even though Google cannot see images, images are really important for captivating someone's attention, and time spent on a page is a good metric for Google to gauge to see if this page answers someone's question. So if you have images that are engaging and it keeps people on the page, you'll want to keep those images. Don't just throw out all your images because Google can't see it. One way to help Google understand what your images are is to write this alt text or alternative text for your image. So let's say I have this image of these 2 puppies, they're so cute, and I want to put this on my website. I would add text to this alt text box, and I would say 2 puppies laying on the ground. That is descriptive and it explains what's going on in this image. And when Google comes across my page, it's scanning my page and it sees this image. Even though it can't see the image, it can read the alt text, and so it will understand, oh, this image is about 2 puppies laying on the ground. Another point for images is that Google will look at the file name of the image when it's uploaded to the site as another indicator trying to understand what the image looks like. So if I have this image and maybe it's a screenshot, I would want to rename that screenshot or that file puppies laying on the ground so that Google can really understand what this image is about. So finally, proving SEO is worth it. You have so many priorities as a business owner, someone running a business. And so you want to make sure that SEO is worth it, right? You want to make sure that your time spent gets some results. And so, like I said before, your website is a promotional for your business. It explains who you are. It explains what you do to customers, potential customers, and that's where they will get all of their information about you. Your website and increasing its visibility to those potential customers is a pretty big deal, I think. And I think it's a priority that you may have. So how can we see that the SEO that you're implementing is working? Your website should have some basic analytics, and these can tell you where a visitor entered your site. So is it from a social media campaign that you ran? Was it from an email? Or was it from organic search, which is what we've been talking about today? Periodically check those analytics and see how your organic traffic is doing. If your organic traffic is growing, you can tell that the best practices that you implemented were worth it, and it is a great idea to keep investing in SEO. So that is it. I am totally free for questions. And in this deck, I've linked some resources. So from the presentation, as well as about SEO. And I'm assuming that this deck can be sent out so you can look through those after. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And just to clarify the point with the H1, H2, H3, and then the paragraph tags, if you guys are working with a website, web designer or something, you can send them just like a Google Doc and tell them, hey, I want this as an H1 tag, I want this as paragraph, I want this as H3, and they will be able to upload it that way for you. Same with the images. If you've renamed images and you want to add alt text, just include in your email saying, I want the alt text for this image to be whatever it is that you're trying to portray in your images. So if you're putting together your website, even if it's just like an about page, a contact page, and a home page, these still work for you. This isn't just specific to like blogs or anything. This is something that you can do with your most basic website. So I highly encourage you to try these out and see how it affects your web traffic, because it really does make a huge difference. Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to further the point that blogging may not make the most sense for everyone, but implementing the proper heading structure is always important, even if you have a website that has just 3 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, a website that has 3 pages can still have good SEO. You don't need to have a giant website in order to have good organic search results. So that's just something to keep in mind for those of you who think that this might not apply to you. It really does. It's something that's very important for people to actually finally see your website. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, leave them in the question box. I have a couple of questions for you, Amanda, to get us started here. The first question is, if you are getting started on Google Analytics for the first time, you've never seen it before, and you're wanting to start tracking your website, what are the couple of points that you should be looking at and tracking without getting too overwhelmed with everything that it offers? So what are the maybe like 3 analytics that you should be tracking to start off with?
Yeah, great question. So I personally do not use Google Analytics here at HubSpot. You can guess, we use HubSpot software. However, I'm basically familiar with Google Analytics, and what you should be doing if you're looking at metrics that relate to SEO, you'll want to go into Google Analytics, connect it to your site, and there'll be a little acquisition tab on the very left. And under that, I think there's something that says like traffic or organic traffic. And when you click on that, it will show you this pie chart of where your traffic is coming from, and you'll want to keep an eye on that organic traffic metric, because organic traffic is all of the visits that you get from Google and the Google search engine results page. So I would keep an eye out on that. And I would also keep an eye out. I know you said Google Analytics, but I would look at Google Search Console, because the two can integrate, and it has a lot of helpful metrics for which of your pages are doing the best, maybe which of your pages people don't like visiting, and then you can optimize those pages so that everything on your website has good traffic and people find it very helpful.
Awesome. So do I need to know coding to incorporate SEO on my website? Is this something that beginners can do for themselves?
Yes, definitely. I do not know how to code. I know like some of the basics, but definitely, I am not a coder. So the extent that you need to know are these heading structures. That H1 is the title of your page, the H2s are the main points of information, and that the body copy or the paragraphs that you may have uses the paragraph tag. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know how to code.
Awesome. So how does social media factor into SEO?
Yeah, social media and SEO are pretty different. They don't really impact each other too much. Um, there are like some more complex things that social media can do to affect SEO, but if you're looking to implement some SEO into your website, I wouldn't really focus on how social media impacts it. I would just focus on getting the basics right, following the recommendations that I put in this presentation. And if you have a wonderful social media strategy that's driving a lot of traffic to your site, that's great. Maybe implement some of these recommendations and keep focusing on social media, because as a business, you'll want to be doing what's working. So that's what I would say to that.
Awesome. All right, it doesn't look like we have any questions from our attendees, but as always, you are free to email either myself or Amanda any of your questions about SEO. I know this can seem overwhelming for those of you who maybe are just getting started with your website or already have something in place, and it's kind of overwhelming to think how you can change it. So any questions that you might have about this stuff, please feel free to forward those on our way. And as Amanda said, she will be sending over the deck so that you guys will have access to that as well to get a little bit more in detail with the resources that she's provided. All right, and I guess that's all the time we have for today. If you have a couple minutes after the webinar, please take a moment to fill out the survey that I've prepared for you. I really appreciate your input. That's the reason why so much of our content this year has really up-leveled and changed because of suggestions that we've received from you guys. So please fill out that survey. Let me know what you think. Let me know what else you'd like to see. And be sure to look out for more registration links coming up for the 2021 webinar series, which is the Individual Corner, Tech Tuesday, Build Your Brand, Group Corner, everything that we have available. All of those registration links are going to be on the Cornerstone event calendar, and they're also going to be in the weekly Monday Minute newsletter. So keep an eye out for that. I want to say thank you to Amanda for sharing her time and her awesome expertise today. Thank you very much. And everyone, have a great day and stay safe out there.
Bye.